Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Elder Les Brown bringing us in and reminding us that our dreams are possible and that we are greater than our set of circumstances. Good morning to you. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is ECR, Afro Community Radio, and you're listening to Breaking Boundaries with yours truly, Hugh Mayers. This is the talk show where we explore things related to current affairs and popular culture, behavior, psychology, and relationship dynamics. Relationship dynamics is, in some respects, the bedrock of civilization. And I'm hoping that later on, in the second portion of the show, we can take a deep dive into the chosen topic, Black Wives Matter. Nice little play on words, yeah? Black Wives Matter. Making boys into men, right? There is a connection. There is an absolute connection between the man and the woman and the boy who becomes a man. There is a connection. But to start the first portion of the show, I'm going to do as I do and ask you to do me a favor and just to share the ECR link with 2, 3, or 4, or even more of those in your contacts, because they don't want to miss this show. They want to get this one live and direct so that they can either call in when the phone lines are open or have the opportunity to leave a comment in the chat if they're not of the phoning in type. But yeah, if you could just do me that favor, I appreciate you so much. And also just to refresh your memory about joining the Breaking Boundaries Facebook group for the clips of shows gone by, the ability to make suggestions for future topics of discussion and to take part in polls also. And you can join me or follow me on the social handles as well, which is the popular ones is Instagram, your Twitter or X as it is known these days, and TikTok. TikTok is cooking right now. You can join me at Hugh Mayers, which is HUGHMAYERS, and feel free as I indulge in unabashed self-promotion. It's for the cause, mind you. To hit that subscribe button on Hugh Mayers TV on the YouTube channel. Really appreciate the numbers are rising, and I know it's because of you, so keep doing what you do. So yeah, we're gonna jump into some we're gonna jump straight into some interesting news relating to a social media personality by the name of LV, or I don't know if it stands for Louis Vuitton, but LV General. Young man's been charged along with his co-conspirator or alleged his co-defendant. And it's a bit of a dark one, but we have to deal with the different tough subjects, as you know, and it's part of the course. It's part of the course of a people that we deal with the light-hearted news, we deal with the entertainment, but health and well-being, it's all part of what has to be looked into and explored and understood as a people.
Disclaimer. Topics addressed in today's program may deal with sensitive issues. For example, struggles with mental health, structural racism, sexual behavior, or politically polarizing themes. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers, commentators, experts, guests, or host. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect the channel's policy or founding principles. ECR cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed. Breaking Boundaries Talk Show with your host, Hugh Mayers. Sometimes controversial, often provocative, but always informative. You can call in to ask a question or share your opinion on 0782 611 5543.
Okay, so let's get it in. So, as I was reminded last week about the sound quality, we're going to work with that this week. Big up to the whole of the ECR family, the whole of the ECR crew. DJ Nice Things, Debbie Boo, Susie Q, Ranks, if you're out there, Boxing Phenom, Lacey Vibes, the hardcore boxing fans, up till whatever God-known ungodly hour, watching Boots do his thing. Yeah, boy got rocked though. Your boy got rocked. He was out on his feet somewhat, but yeah, that's what champions are made of. But yeah, getting back to the main topic, getting back to this very serious story. YouTube prankster denied bail as he sets to face Lewisham rape trial. A comedian who is well known for his YouTube content is set to face trial accused of RAPE. LV General, real name Augustine Mitchell, and co-defendant Marcel Johnson are alleged to have raped a woman in Lewisham on May the 24th. Mitchell, 37, of Ladywell, faces one charge of RAPE, and Johnson, 39, of Grove Park, faces 2 charges of RAPE. On Thursday, June 25th, Mitchell appeared at Woolwich Crown Court by video link from HMP Belmarsh, Cat A prison, while Johnson attended. Both men pleaded not guilty to the charges. A trial date was set for October this year. Judge Ben Gumper, KC, refused Mitchell bail application and remanded him in custody until trial. His co-defendant was released on conditional bail. Mitchell first gained recognition through his YouTube channel, where he posts pranks, challenge and opinion videos to an audience of more than 100,000 subscribers. He has also worked with other UK creators and platforms, which I'm not going to mention. That's actually not fair to mention those other creators, because it becomes something like akin to guilt by association. I don't really like that. I don't like the way they mention other people, messing up other people's brands when it's a controversial case of that nature. But yeah, it's a bit troubling because every now and then we have a headline where there is somebody from the world of entertainment or fame or popularity or sport, high profile, who is charged or affiliated or associated with a crime of this nature, and it's supposed to involve the young lady being taken against her will into a motor vehicle. There's been different reports. Actually, I'm not going to talk about the actual case because the case is pending, and what I would say is I'm reminded that the defendants are innocent until they are proven guilty. So it's very difficult to root for people, one side or the other, in trials of this nature. Yeah, people who know the alleged victim, people who know the perpetrators, they have their own bias, and or as we all have bias, but it's more understandable. But at the moment, I'm gonna try and maintain it from a point of view of, as best as possible, impartiality. But I do want to talk about that subject of sexual exploitation, and I talk a little bit about consent and how complicated it is. And it's something that I would, as a mentor, discuss with young scholars from time to time, periodically, with the different groups that I work with. It's a conversation that comes up, and it's a discussion that comes up, and it is very important, because what's actually written on the statute book is a lot more complex than what is probably understood in popular culture, or what's understood in society as kind of like, what we say, common sense. The actual legality of consent is a lot more. When you read it up, it's a lot more subsections that could invalidate what is perceived as consent. That's the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing to keep in mind is that where are two men going, consensual or otherwise, men approaching in their 40s, and I'm not one that has a problem with age gap dating, or age gap marriage. I don't have a problem when people are legal. It's their choice, it's their business, and there's no negative inference or nothing. It's not something to weaponize or to try and infer criminality. Sometimes you hear discussions and people, hear people using words like predatory and stuff like that. And I'm not going out like that. I think that's totally biased. And I think that's actually essentially unfounded. But it does look weird when it's two older men and a very young lady. Like, where are the two of you going? And I guess it's like the idea of putting yourself in a difficult situation as a young man. Even if you are innocent, you look bad. You destroy your brand. You destroy your reputation. Even if you bust case, there is shade associated with your name. And if you should so be found guilty of such a horrific offense, that taintedness will follow you. Maybe you can rebuild your life, but that will follow you. People will, particularly if you're successful, want to chase you out of town or not see you successful. I'm one that believes once a man has gone to jail and served his time for the crime, be that cat burglary or a violent offense or whatever the case may be, but once he served his time, or a woman served her time, he should be left to continue his life. And that doesn't mean if you're a sex offender that you can go and get a job in a nursery after that, or like, I don't know, working with vulnerable adults or in a children's home. We're not going for that. We don't believe in that. But yeah, if a man has been convicted of such a horrific crime and then he studies bricklaying while he's in prison, he's got a lot of time on his hands, and he masters the trade of bricklaying, and then he comes out and because he spent so much time dedicated, he's cracked the code and the technique of how to lay a phenomenal amount of bricks, right, in a very short period of time, so he can he commands large sums of money, and now he has a network of men in it, network of men in his network that are of a certain caliber, and he's making well over 100 grand a year, and he has all the connections and all the other ingredients to be considered a high value man. He's still got that history, but I don't think people should wheel that out to cancel him or to try and ruin his career. It's a new day, and that's done. It almost reminds me of like when Mike Tyson was convicted of that offense. In the court of public opinion, so many people don't believe he was guilty, but let's put that to the side. But when he was coming here as to fight, it was Julius Francis, and there were women's rights activists saying that he shouldn't be allowed here, and it didn't make sense to me because he's already been convicted and served time. He's getting on with his life. He hasn't come here to do a Punch and Judy show for kids or something like that. He was a prize fighter, so he's come to smash somebody's face in for the public's entertainment. He's going to be on telly. We're not banning him from TV, so why can't the fight take place in the UK? But yeah, getting back to the main point is that there is something going wrong in the world of show business, that this is becoming a bit of a pattern. There's some kind of coaching. There is some kind of, just like how when you are an actor or in the sports world, you have a certain level of media training. that takes place. That when the camera is live and it's in front of your face, there's certain things that you will not say, certain quarters you will carefully navigate like a politician, and you choose what you want to talk about, or you choose what you want to say. But that's different. That is totally different from the situation where guys are getting caught up either innocently and being accused, innocent till proven guilty, or what kind of foul, uncouth, destructive, demonic energy are they allowing to rise up in themselves to carry out that kind of behavior because they're famous now and they've got a little bit of, a little bit of bread and a little bit of popularity behind them, but something is going wrong. So either way, there seems like a need, and I'm making the assumption, I don't know if this is being addressed. It might be addressed and people are just still falling foul, but this needs to be addressed in terms of how young men are coached to operate as public individuals. That's just a little bit of my opinion on it, but at the same time, it doesn't look good if you're on film saying that your favorite porn, you're into porn and your favorite porn is gangbang porn. Certain clips don't age well. And what's crazy is that we live in a time where social media stars, they're kind of, they're quirky, they're known for saying off the cuff things, they keep it real, they keep it near the edge, it's non-politically correct. And their fan base know them for that. So there's no point in like saying they should be cancelled for saying those kind of things now, or certain attitudes, because they've always been about that. They've never hidden the kind of brashness or coarseness or abrasiveness or hypersexuality. It's been shoved in proverbially in people's faces or the fan base's face. So it's a really strange situation. But I will say this. I absolutely pray that justice is served.
Players want permission, licenses want worship, broke man want provider, insecure man want control, lost man want guiding, wounded man want mothers, jealous man want to make woman feel small so he can feel big. Every man wants a woman with a big heart. But a big heart doesn't come with silence, it comes with storms, with feeling everything loudly, deeply, fully. She'll cry when she cares. She'll rage when she's hurt. She'll call out what doesn't feel right because her love is real. It doesn't sit quietly in the corner of someone's convenience. A woman with a big heart will challenge you to show up bigger, not because she's too much, but because she refused to settle for too little. You don't get soft without a strong. You don't get magic without a fire. You don't get a woman like her without being ready to feel every ounce of what she is made of. So only a king wants a woman in the power, one who loves herself too much to beg, one who makes peace feel like a passion, one walks beside him, not behind him. That's what a real man wants, a queen he can build his kingdom with.
Woo! So yeah, moving on, not so swiftly, but moving on. There's been some good news in the media of sort, but it depends on how what side of the aisle that you're on, because obviously there's difference of opinion when it comes to this subject matter. But there's an article that's been published on June the 21st on a BBC website, and it talks about how the social media ban could reshape how all of us use the internet. But it goes on to talk about a mother and her interactions with her children, and the prospect of the underage ban taking place. I personally think it won't solve every problem, but something has to be done, because it's like the genie is out the bottle when it comes to social media, when it comes to influence, when it comes to things that ideas that are reaching the children, the young people, that if it can be slowed down at least, because it's not so much that things just shouldn't exist or information and different opinions shouldn't exist. I'm not a fascist. I'm not like a I love to censor everything type of person. People got a brain in their head for a reason and a mind, and they should be able to think. But, we should protect children, right? We should be protecting children to give them time to develop their minds and then the responsibilities that come with it. But yeah, the article reads, everyone's really upset, mum. Loads of them have got their own YouTube channels. That was my 12-year-old son's summary of how the news about the social media ban for UK under 16s went down in his classroom. Exactly how a bunch of 12-year-olds might have ended up with their own channels in the first place, when the minimum age is supposed to be 13, shows just how big a change in culture the government is trying to make. In Preston, school pupil Isabella went viral when a BBC colleague asked her on camera what she would do instead with the 9 hours of screen time that she had racked up over the previous weekend. Stare at the wall, she deadpanned, right? The exact logistics of the ban have yet to be set out, but it is very possible that its introduction will herald the biggest ever change in the UK in terms of how everyone, children and adults alike, access the internet. Millions of us might have to share some official ID, which includes our date of birth, in order to access a whole range of platforms from next spring. Right, the ban has been broadly welcomed by campaigners, including a group of bereaved parents who say their children died as a result of a variety of harms on social media. But for others, the government is But for others, what the government is planning goes beyond getting the nation's kids to spend more time off screens and engaged in alternative pursuits, even if that does include staring at the walls, and amounts to a profound reshaping of how it is assumed young people will accumulate fresh knowledge, and also how the rest of us will move around online. There is a potential impact on education, right? YouTube is where we all go to learn, says Dr. Tom Crawford, aka Whatever Happened to Books, Dr. Crawford. Tom rocks maths. Who shares math skills with his 250 or 250,000 subscribers, right, on YouTube, which is included in the ban, and that includes teenagers. So, are we really witnessing the profound shift that some claim? And if we are, how will it reshape our relationships with the online world? The article goes on to make a few more points, but you get the gist of it, that, yeah, it's going to come into effect. We don't know quite how. That's to be formulated, still being formulated, but it's coming down the pipe. Now, there are definitely other people, and I think I'm going to put myself in this camp, who are kind of curious when it comes to needing to prove your age and upload information online. Like I suppose scanning passports or similar, driving license, similar types of ID. What do they call it? Is it plyometric? Not plyometric. But yeah, basically your ID. Like, what happens with that data and where is it stored and who's going to use that is and digital. This kind of like digitalization and monitoring of people. With the technology that we have, with the AI technology, I ain't gonna lie, I'm concerned. I'm interested that from that aspect of things. But I would say that I think it's going to help parents in some ways, and it will push some parents to be parents because some get in the habit of, you know, as long as they're in their room, they are not under my feet. And maybe it will force a little bit more interaction, or, you know, even if you're in the same room watching the boring EastEnders or whatever it is, but like there's kids just not in their room, just online, just talking to people. Well, they can be socializing, I guess, with their peers. That's different social media platforms, I guess, in terms of communication, but we're just watching stuff, being sent all manner of stuff and watching all sorts of stuff. So I think overall it's a good thing. And we really don't know what is the potential side effect of, you know, a generation or 2 or 3 grown up on, just grown up on things to do with what's on television. I mean, excuse me, on social media. We're still even coming to terms with, right, the implications of the pornification of society and social media and pornography, because unfortunately, people who are not of legal age will access that kind of material. And it's happened before. Like, kids used to bring porno books to school. Everybody must have seen a book or something like that 30, 40 years ago. But they weren't in their room digitalized with a never-ending access to that stuff as a 12-year-old or somebody that's just left primary or in primary or whatever the case may be. It's kind of, you know, whatever age you get your young person a device of their own, or give them access to a device. So it's food for thought, and it might be a help. It might be for the best. It might just make that difference. There's no one silver bullet to solve the issues in society, but things happen along a continuum. And I'm going to assume there's going to be some good in it, even though we have to watch out for those of us who are adults, watch out for our ID when we're submitting and opening new accounts. We have to think about the implications in that regard. What they call it again, civil liberties issues. But yeah, we're going to catch you after the break, where we're going to take a deeper dive and look at the concept of Black Lives Matter and making boys into men. Catch you in a moment.